welcome once again to the Movie and Stuff Show. My name is Dan, and joining me this week, Marty.
Live at 9 or 9:10.
Yeah, I was just saying, does 9:15 Eastern Standard Time sound as good as 9 p.m. Eastern? Does it flow as well?
I think we'd be like, wow, what are those guys got going on that they're starting at 9:15?
Oh, or 9:08.
Yeah, it's like you never know.
9:08. You made the point. It's like the old TBS schedule. And we lost Jamil.
No.
After all of this, we lost Jamil.
We can hear him.
We can hear him. He's talking, but he has no video.
This show is a
Jamil's back. We go live. Jamil goes off the air. I don't even want to talk about like the how we got the show going today. So Marty's joining us, Amanda's joining us, Jamil's joining us, right? Hopefully.
Our own league, if you will.
Yes. And I'm going to surprise you guys. Special guest JML right now, live on the show. Justin, just for Amanda.
Oh, good.
If we knew you could pull off that kind of thing technology wise, we would be a little more shocked.
Yeah, I really. I actually could.
I don't think he would have been able to not talk over me for the 10 minutes while we were getting ready. He would have spoiled his own surprise.
Yeah, I would have had to keep that mute somehow. I don't know if that would have happened. He actually has reviewed the movie on his site as well. So if you're interested in his take on Justice League, Amanda,
I'll make a bingo board and then I'll go see his review and see how many of the points I guess.
Surprisingly negative review of the movie.
That is what I would expect.
Yeah, because he loved the other one, and this is the opposite of that for the most part.
Yes. He also blames Josh Whedon, like 100% for the issues
not
of this movie.
Studio, not the studio whatsoever.
What are we talking about this week? What are we talking about? I think we're talking about Unite the League, right? Justice League. I was gonna actually superimpose like Superman flying in the background in the poster. But maybe that's a spoiler. Is this a spoiler?
It's
people
not
know that Superman was supposed to be in this? I mean,
you know what's funny about it is that everyone knew he was going to be in it, yeah. But the one scene they showed him in the trailer, they tricked us all into thinking that it was a dream sequence, but it actually wasn't. So it was pretty funny when I
honestly gotta say they did good with the trailer.
Oh, they did very good. Yeah.
They did good with the trailer and not spoiling the entire fucking movie.
Yeah.
So, bravo to them to learn from one of their mistakes of BVS. Unfortunately, this movie had a lot of issues that they didn't learn from BVS. So, but the trailer. Talia, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I feel ashamed. Talia sent me a link of a video, and I meant to watch it before the show, but since I was scrambling to 9:02 p.m. to get the show, we lost Jamil again. There he is again.
No, I'm here. It's just you guys are kind of slow.
You gotta work harder than that if you want to get rid of them.
So yeah, we just gotta get Jamil to say his spiel so he can just drop off the call, and we'll post a picture of Jamil in place of him.
Okay, this movie is my man. There.
You loved it. You loved it, Jamil, right?
Oh yeah, so much. Yeah.
Amanda.
I thought it was medium. I like it. I would put it, comparable to most of the Marvel movies. Oh no. Like rewatchable. I didn't feel terrible when I left. It definitely felt like a comic book movie. It had problems, but I definitely overlooked most of those while I was actively watching the movie. So yeah, like a medium comic book movie. Finally.
Jamil, what are your true feelings about this movie?
Yeah, I'm so perplexed by this movie. I really am. Like, on one hand, it's nowhere near the abortion that the other ones have been.
That's harsh.
But that is harsh. I take that back. You know what? I'm sorry. You see, that's internet me. Look, y'all, the movie's okay. The movie is fine. Like, I mean, I don't dislike it as much as I like BVS or Suicide Squad, but I think it's below Man of Steel, which I do kind of like, except for a couple of things. So yeah, I think it's like third out of what, 6 movies now? 5, 6 movies? Third?
5. Yeah,
5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
BVS just felt like 2 movies because it was so long.
Am I losing count? Has a 5.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's a Wonder Woman. Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah. It's a good one.
See, it was so good that I didn't. I forgot.
You don't even want to count. Don't worry. After this box office, it looks like it's going to be by itself anyway. So you're right. It doesn't count.
Marty, what do you think?
We've been talking about this movie, it seems like forever, and every time we talked about it, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go in, not care about all the problems, and just have fun, and I had a really fucking great time with this movie. I know every point that you can make against it, I won't even disagree with you,
okay,
but
good,
I still...
I've got a lot
I know,
coming.
And I'll agree with probably most of them. I read some of the reviews on, Stefan did a great piece on Pop Access that I read, and I don't disagree with anything he said either, really, but I just thought it was just fun. It's the first superhero movie in a while that I've gone to where I was felt good leaving the theater.
I know it's been at least 2 weeks since you saw something that was moderately enjoyable and comic book themed.
People say they love Thor. I didn't really care about Thor. I knew, I left thinking, all right, it's a new one. That's the next one, I guess, whatever. This one just worked for me. I don't know why. All the characters worked for me. I know they didn't all get in depth. I know the comic book lovers will say that's not how it happened, and I'll agree with all that as well. And I thought for all the problems we've been talking about, for the 2 directors, for the cutting runtime, it didn't feel disjointed. It didn't feel like a mess. It didn't feel rushed. Some of it, you could have added a lot more to it, but, they took all the complaints from BVS, the convoluted story, the, too dark, and they just they tried something different. It didn't work on every level. It didn't work for a lot of people. The cinema score is a lot better than the critic score. So people are enjoying it. Even the people who hate it.
They're not going to see it, but they're enjoying it. The people that are seeing it are enjoying it. They're just not going to see it. Yeah.
The people who hate it, I'm not hearing a lot of, I just don't want to see any more of this either. I think even the people who don't like it are saying, all right, this is a step in a different direction that we can get behind. I hope there's more to come. We'll talk about that later. It doesn't seem like there will be. There's not a lot, plans that are solid right now, but that could be okay too. I mean, so much of Marvel is predetermined when you're going in that the next 4 movies. So maybe it's better to just see these as they come and see what happens next.
Here's the thing. This movie wasn't as big of a mess as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a complete disaster, complete confusion. The plot actually was really very plain, straightforward. There wasn't anything too complicated. BVS, you can say is there's way too much going on in it. My issue is, while BVS was messy, I thought it was at least an interesting mess. This was not interesting to me at all. There's nothing to me that felt important. The bringing back Superman, I thought, was terribly done, and it felt rushed, even though it wasn't. But it felt like, let's just get him to this chamber, throw this thing in. Look, Superman's back, but he's bad. I felt like this was ho-hum. I would rather it have been messy, as long as I could have something to kind of latch onto, and there's nothing here for me. That said, there are some enjoyable moments to it. I was surprised by the Flash. I thought that was going to be a problem for me. It actually worked kind of well. One of my favorite scenes, granted it was done in Days of Future Past with Quicksilver, but what I enjoyed about it was they did that, only they had 2 people able to do the slow motion thing, which I thought was neat. You had this fight that was kind of going on in this slow motion world. I thought that was interesting. I felt the fight scene when Superman comes back and fights the Justice League,
so good.
much better than the fight scene on the tarmac in Civil War.
We talked about that before.
So much
I love
better
that.
action wise, and it felt just more important,
more real.
More real,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Less of a dance. Like it felt like Civil War was like kind of a choreography. It's like, okay, now Ant-Man's gonna jump up here, and we're gonna slide. Amanda, you could probably do the play-by-play of how this dance routine actually worked in Civil War. I thought the fight scene was really good in Justice League. I don't know. The Steppenwolf, terrible. The CGI had some major issues. I thought Suicide Squad, the CGI was terrible, and you thought that maybe they would take a little bit of and improve that. And
even they had a year and a half.
Even Wonder Woman CGI wasn't great. It's something with this studio. Their CGI hasn't been great. Even go back to BVS, the Doomsday CGI wasn't perfect. A lot of complaining about the Henry Cavill CGI mustache. It didn't. I knew going in that it was there, and it didn't bother me. I've heard a lot of people screaming about it, but I just didn't.
I only noticed it once.
Twice that I noticed it. It was kind of his face looked plastic in those couple of scenes. It was pretty obvious.
The first time you see him, like when he's talking to the kid, is real obvious. Yeah.
I'm gonna CGI a mustache off of me in this episode.
They should have just put like a Snapchat filter over him or something instead. If it was supposed to be a cell phone video anyways.
So weird. And I know Stefan had said that he felt that he could tell the obvious parts of Whedon versus Snyder. I mean, I say yes and no. I do feel like the jokey stuff is like, okay, that's definitely a Whedon-esque joke. Jamil, go ahead.
There's one particular joke that I almost left the theater on. There's one particular joke where I almost fucking threw something, and it's after like Batman asks, "Do you bleed?" I mean,
that was so funny. That was great.
No, that was good. But when he said, "Oh yeah, definitely something bleeding,"
that was funny.
No, Batman would not say no shit like that. No, Batman. That's a Joss Whedon joke. That's a Joss Whedon.
I like that.
What's funny too is we talk about audience reaction. Like my theater, at least, packed. Opening night Thursday, 10:30 at night, absolutely packed. IMAX theater. Round of applause when the credits start rolling up. Audience laughing, standing ovation at the end. Like I'm looking at these people. I'm like, are you all fucking high right now? Like, what movie did you just watch?
It was fun. I like I said, the Superman coming back to life, I didn't like. When they were doing that, I was like, wow, that was just. I knew people were gonna hate it, and I was like, wow, that's how they're doing it. But then the scene that followed was so fucking fun and cool, and the "Do you bleed" line. Everyone in my theater clapped for that one. Him against when Flash is seeing Superman running at him like shocked. That was the Flash thing too. I want to come back to. You said, but we've seen it in the X-Men movies, and I wonder how they're going to handle it going forward, because we saw it once in the X-Men movies with Quicksilver, but then by the second time we saw it in the next movie, it's like, all right, we've seen this already. So is that going to get old as we keep going with the Flash movie, if we have a Flash movie ever? But I thought for the most part the Flash scenes where he's dealing with his speed was done fairly well, and I did love the one joke scene where they're digging him up. Him and Cyborg are digging up Superman's body, and he goes, I can do this a lot faster, but it would feel disrespectful. I don't know why I thought that was funny. And then he tried to give him the pound. He's like, oh, I guess we're not there yet. Those are the Whedon parts of the movie, I assume. But it was so much easier to watch than, say, Suicide Squad, where you can just tell there were two different movies going on at the same time there. I thought this was somewhat weaved in better.
They pretty much... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
No. Talia was asking me what the average age of the people in my audience was. It seemed like a pretty good mix. Probably skewed, probably more, late 20s, early 30s, but it seemed like a pretty good range.
It was your standard comic book movie audience. I thought.
Yeah, and General Gao is asking about my facial hair and saying that my generation is known for moving pubic hair from crotches to faces. Have you seen people from the 70s? Like, seriously. Like, they had both going down upstairs and downstairs in the 70s. Come on.
Yeah, look at Chris Christopherson from the 70s.
Saying,
Christ.
man. Jeez. Laugh on facial hair. I've been trying. I've been trying to keep it in. At Marty's wedding, it was pretty outrageous. Like, my beard was pretty crazy at Marty's wedding. I've kind of tamed it since then.
Yeah, mine's
Oh my
mine's
god,
a little complicated
it's
these
Superman.
days too.
So where did Superman come from?
That really does sum up how horrible production of this movie went. When Superman, you can't get him to shave his mustache to come back for a role because he's doing Mission Impossible, I guess 7 or something. Like, the fact that you don't have enough power as a movie to get your lead guy to shave for 2 weeks so he could shoot a fucking couple of scenes really is a sad statement for the DCEU.
Yeah.
I think the movie itself is just like kind of a mess, but the cast is great, kind of like Ghostbusters. So
No, I'm not drinking on that. I'm not drinking.
No, I'm just saying the cast is great.
The cast is what was horrible about Ghostbusters.
I like the cast in Ghostbusters.
I think it was the execution. Yeah.
I think they just needed better material. Like, I wish this cast had better material. And y'all look, like I said, I already told Dan this. I'm grading this movie on the hard curve. They stuck the landing, so that's all that matters. Like they stuck the landing, so I'm good with that. I'm good. I wish Superman would have came back a little sooner, but Really? By the way, did they really just drop a dead body in the water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they really just pick like
they tossed the dead body in the water? Yeah.
Most movies, MacGuffin water.
Yes.
No, most movies would have left him in a coffin, just out of respect, because the last thing you want to do is see dead Superman body just drifting in the water. I found that really weird that they did that.
They did the same thing in the first one, or whatever, the second one. I don't know what we're calling these anymore, with Zod. So it was.
Yeah, it was, but he kind of like carried him in there, and it was more of a religious ceremony in BVS. If you think about it, it's almost like a baptism or whatever. Here they just like. Let's just toss him in. Like it was pretty terrible. It was pretty tasteless in a way. I didn't like the quote unquote resurrection of Superman. I don't like how they did it. I didn't.
No.
It sounded like it was bad plot. You had the dirt levitating in BVS that meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing other than foreshadowing or spoiling. It meant
that's probably an instance where Snyder's probably shot something much more, I want to say convoluted, but something a lot deeper than that. And that's something where Whedon came in and was like, oh, we got to make this simpler. We need to cut. They cut a half hour, they got a movie, so that they probably cut 10 minutes. That's all right. Let's just get the body and put him in a thing. And...
I would have. Again, and Marty, you warned me about not going to the comics, and I won't, but too much right now. I did read the run of Death and Return of Superman. Like I read that. I probably still have it over there. Like all of the.
It's terrible.
It's terrible, and their way of bringing Superman back was awful in that. So I didn't want them to do that. I was just hoping along the lines of I don't know. He's Superman. He can't really die. So you think he's dead, but he's not. And he bursts out of the fucking coffin at the when you need him. I don't know. I would have liked that than dumping him in fucking water.
I mean, they threw in a couple of lines about how because of who he is, he wouldn't rot and he wouldn't, his genes would stay going. I mean, so
whatever.
And I did like
how the fuck did Batman know that? How did Batman know that? Like there's no explanation for that.
He had all of Luthor's research, so maybe that was part of it. I don't know.
Okay,
but I like the interaction between the Justice League at that point, where Wonder Woman doesn't want to do it, Batman does. They're kind of arguing back and forth. Some of those scenes I did like. We could have got more of that.
And then, the man says goes, right? I mean, the woman just gets tossed aside like. Well, okay, Wonder Woman, you've been hiding for 100 years. You go away, Christ. Wonder Woman. Your opinion doesn't matter.
No, it was more. Where have you been for 100 years? I thought, and then she by the end of the movie, she is taking the lead. So that worked. That worked for me.
I thought she was great. No, honestly, and you could tell that they reshot it.
Yeah, she's holding this whole thing together.
You
really.
could tell that they reshot it based off of the success of Wonder Woman to make her more prominent in the action stuff. I thought,
leave it to the woman. Leave it to the woman to fucking hold everything together. Leave it to him, cause boy, I do like the fact that they didn't go with the trope of everybody fight, then they split up, then come back together. I like that they had an argument. And it was just settled there, like none of that bullshit about going to find yourself and coming back at the end. Like I'm really happy.
Other than Superman.
Well, but he was dead though. Well,
he had some catching up to do, right?
Yeah, he had to get his shit together,
So, there's a character that's been sort of conspicuously absent from this discussion so far.
Well, there's been two. We haven't mentioned two characters, but one in particular. Go ahead.
Aquaman. And you reminded me of him. You reminded me of Aquabro when you said women holding it together, because we got one scene that was Mira, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is kind of badass. I like this water magic stuff. And then, he doesn't use the rest of the time he's fighting. He's just like a strong dude. I was kind of waiting for more like Aquaman powers.
Man,
he had the trident.
They can't do that because people would have so many jokes. As soon as a fucking shark came out the water, the jokes was gonna run, and they was trying to avoid that as much as possible with him. That's why you catch Jason Momoa.
I guess I kind of liked. Was it Young Justice where Aqualad had like the water blades? I was like, that is super cool and very difficult to make fun of after like the first time you see it. But I don't know, like you're right. I mean, it would be hard to explain what he does. I just
well, he came out today and he stated there's a lot that was cut out. So I'm assuming there was a lot more with her and him that was cut out, because she's a pretty big actress to just run in for 3 minutes.
I've seen pictures, like set photos.
Willem Dafoe was supposed to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He's completely cut out.
They cut out a lot of the Aquaman story, but he's the only one that has a set movie coming out next year, so we'll get a lot of that.
And he'll be the only one to have a set movie.
And I love that J.K. Simmons got completely ripped for this movie for his 2 minutes of screen time in a trench coat.
Yeah.
He said that wasn't why he did it, but it was funny. Yeah, there was a lot of things that we were talked when we first heard of this movie that we were sold that just didn't pan out. Be it the J.K. Simmons, be it the we were seeing pictures of the black suit for Superman that never came about, and a lot of underwater stuff. But, I mean, I like some of the flashback stuff. The first war with Steppenwolf I enjoyed with the Green Lantern stuff.
I like that, but it was a little too Lord of the Rings for me. A little too Battle of Sauron, in substance and style. But I like the Justice League portion, the Green Lantern portion of it. I thought that was a really nice throw in.
There were a few throw-ins to kind of let you know maybe things are coming, but like I said, we don't.
No, it won't be.
Yeah.
Did you guys stick around after? I didn't. I left.
There were two of the better post-credit scenes I've ever.
One of the best post-credit scenes ever in a superhero movie with the Flash and Superman.
Yeah.
Now that's DC. That's what these movies should be. That right there was perfect.
That's cool because I mean you. Ever since I was a kid, you always had that argument: who would win in a race, Superman or Flash? I mean, that's like a
Superman cheated. Superman cheated though because he was flying. He should have been running.
Yeah,
like he should.
Well, that was one of the good parts of the final fight scene where Flash is trying to save the 3 people in the car who were in the movie for no reason throughout.
Was pushing the car and then Superman.
Then he comes
the Sokovian refugees.
I had this.
That's right.
It's the Sokovia sister city, whatever it was.
I did not escape from Ultron to live through this shit.
Show the girl with the bug repellent for no reason. It's like
like for if you just pull back just a little bit more, this is like a giant crater right next to it where Sokovia used to be. Right there.
Hulk is gonna wake up and say, "Wait a minute, what happened? Did they fix that?"
We talked about this last week. I mean, it's just another instance where they go out of their way to say, "Well, this is happening around where nobody really lives, so it's okay." There's not gonna be a lot of that.
I would never thought in a million years that the first Avengers movie would have higher stakes than the Justice League movie, because like the first Avenger movies take place in New York City around civilians. You would think a Justice League movie, especially since they're supposed to be like mythical gods in a way, would take place in the city where they have to save people.
After Man of Steel,
they keep backing away. Like Batman v Superman, they went to a warehouse, and then they have to go to the abandoned city. I mean, that's
my point. They learned the wrong. Listen, you can have it in the city. Just have your hero save every once in a while. You can destroy as much shit as you want to. Just have them be like, hey, we gotta save some people. That's all you have to do. But it's like they keep learning the wrong lessons.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't Justice League the perfect opportunity for them to be in a crowded area and have them break apart to save people? I mean, that's one of the things you can say about Avengers, right? I'm not a huge fan of Avengers, but they took the time. Like, people were still fighting, and then the other Avengers were breaking away to save people, and then that was the opportunity that they could have had to say, there's still going to be destruction in this city, and but the Flash can save more people.
Again, it would have been too. Then you would have been saying, oh, it's just like they just copied the Avengers.
At this point, it felt like it anyway.
I mean, the Avengers copied their own ending in the second one too. So,
yeah, I was say you might as well look. Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all something. All comic books are the same, so because of that, there's going to be overlap. They might well just not even run from it, like because what's the alternative? In the middle of a fucking desert with like 8 people. Like, no, just fucking put it in the middle of the city. Put it in the middle of Central City, since you don't pretty much destroy Gotham and Metropolis at this fucking point. Anything than what they did.
One thing I mean,
no booster gold though. I wanted some booster gold in this. Come on.
Like there are things I didn't like, but the one thing I didn't really get is the idea that Superman's been Superman in this world for what, a couple years, maybe 2-3 years.
They completely retconned that. They completely retconned that hardcore. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mark.
Yeah, but just the idea that he's gone, so now the world's in chaos, just doesn't. It'd be like it just didn't work for me. It worked on the fact that his connection with Lois and his mother works for me because they set that up in the movies. But his connection to the greater world doesn't really exist in the other 2 movies. So the idea that he's dead, so now people are robbing, grocery stores again, I just didn't really get.
It reminds.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
I was going to say it reminds me of In A New Hope when Obi-Wan says that Anakin was a dear friend, and I'm like, what? What?
No.
Okay, after watching the prequels, like, were they really like friends? Were they really like? I don't know. Like it.
Yes, they were.
They were. Yeah, he raised them basically, which is also
that's really a little bit different than what was implied if you just watched A New Hope for the first time. This is not a thing we have to fight about, but I was just trying to make the comparison.
No.
It felt
I agree, though. I do agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate. You're absolutely right.
It felt like they were just saying, "Oh, hey, Superman was this great guy," and they just told us. And then we have these other movies that show us that, like, he was kind of.
They was burning him in effigy.
Yeah,
they was burning him in effigy. What fucking movies were they watching?
It's like they tried to wrap it. They tried to wrap it all up with the YouTube video at the beginning. And that just, like I said, the fact that the whole world is in chaos because a guy who saved a couple of people every once in a while is gone.
The idea saved the world twice.
I mean, the idea that Steppenwolf can now come into the Earth because he's gone, that makes sense. They explain that at least. But the idea that the world's in chaos because he's gone, it didn't work. But again, that's just when they're trying to retcon too much in one movie.
And it failed. What? I know, and then we'll talk about the other post-credit stinger, talking about the Injustice League and Joe Manganiello and
Eisenberg he was better in this scene than he was in the. I didn't mind him in BVS. People hated him. I thought he worked.
But so
what he was trying, but
you're setting this up for future movies, but I don't know where they go with this at this point. To me, this movie, we talked about the how they should have probably built this DCEU, but at this point, like, what do we got? We have Aquaman's filmed, right, or has been filming?
Yeah, no, it's over with as far as I know.
What's bad about that too is that's not coming out again until this next December,
2018, right?
So you're gonna go a full year without a DCE movie, where you're gonna have like 4 Marvels, a couple of X-Men movies. Sony will do something probably. So it's like,
And then you got Wonder Woman coming out the following May or
the following November.
November. Wow. Oh, that's right, because because of Star Wars. That's right.
Yeah. So it's just like I said, there's a lot of time to change things, I guess, but Wonder Woman was a success. They want to get that done, so they're not going to change her.
No, they'll do what they need to do with Wonder Woman, but I mean, if Aquaman's already filmed,
I don't think it's all filmed. I mean, it's in the. I'm sure there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time to change it.
It's an even bigger risk if it's not all filmed, because it means that they'll just reshoot half of it and it'll be.
Yeah. I mean,
never say never. They could turn this into Aquaman and the Flash, you know?
Yeah.
Flash is still nothing set.
It won't be. Yeah. Look. I'm completely pessimistic. None of this shit is going to happen.
And it's
none of it.
Same. I'm really liking Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne, but it looks like Matt Reeves is going to make his own trilogy, divorced from all this probably. There's 2 Joker movies in the works that who knows what they're connected to. There was the idea of the Sirens movie that's probably not going to happen. I think The Rock is still attached to Shazam. Black Adam or Shazam. But again, that doesn't have any.
No, he's not going to be in Shazam. But Shazam only villain is not going to be in the movie. They're going to have a Shazam movie without Black Adam. Black Adam gets his own movie.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck, man?
It's just going to be because Shazam is the one where it's the kid who turns into so it's just going to be like Stranger Things, and it's just going to be that kid playing video games for like 3 hours straight, and that's what you watch. And you never get him as it's Captain Marvel?
No, it's not Captain Marvel. It's not Captain Marvel anymore. It's Shazam. They officially changed it after
Okay. As Mr. Shazam, you never see him as Mr. Shazam. It was just nostalgia 80s movie.
I just don't know, man. Like, look, say what you want to about the Marvel movies. At least they consistent. At least they have a baseline for enjoyment. You know what I'm saying? It's never like terrible. It's like right here. Like at this point, they just all over the fucking map. They don't know what's coming next. I think they just scrap the whole fucking thing. Just start over.
Are you ready for Marvel versus DC? Like in the movies,
yes.
Batman versus Wolverine.
No, it'll be Batman versus Captain America. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But no, I don't.
Hulk versus Superman.
I don't want that. I don't know. There's too comic booky even for me. I can't.
Well, it made less than 100 on the weekend. It's now.
I said 130.
You said 130. Yeah, that was off. It's now over 100. The only maybe silver lining is that maybe people didn't go out and see it because a lot of people are off this week with Thanksgiving. And so if it has a strong second week and has a strong foreign, it's got close
pretty
to
good
200.
foreign. It did pretty well
without
foreign.
China so far.
Yeah, it did pretty good foreign.
It's not a BVS where it's going to be hard to watch. So, I mean, if the foreign markets, I think, might gravitate to it more. And I said, if it does like 50 to something this second weekend, because nothing else coming out again. So Thanksgiving, people go to the movies on Thanksgiving for the most part.
Coco's coming out.
And that has the Frozen mini movie attached to it too.
No.
Just League might be 4th this weekend. Guys, hey, let me ask you a question. Go back to your younger self when you're like 10, right? And if you would have told yourself that a Thor movie would be a bigger hit than a Justice League movie, you'd be like, "What the fuck out of here?"
Number one, you asked
Thor. Yeah, I think it was Thor.
Thank you. You took my Joker, man. Like, number one, you asked who the fuck is Thor. Number two, no. Like, that's the world we live in. Like,
how about that too? Was it a mistake to have these things too close together? Just for an economic factor? Is that, say if you go see this in IMAX or Dolby or whatever, that's like 2 tickets is $40-$50. Not everyone could do that 2 out of 3 weeks. I mean, that could have been an issue. I mean, it's after leaving this movie, I was like, this was a summer movie. This was not. BVS was more of a darker tone. Maybe put that Thanksgiving. This was a summer movie that could have existed in May or June a lot.
It wasn't a mistake for.
Yeah, but I was saying Thor had come out every Thor movie I think came out later in the year.
Yeah, they typically were November releases for Thor.
But just the idea that to go see 2 movies in a row like this, you're spending $50.
You think it would have been better in January?
I mean,
or in February?
Look how much
with Deadpool.
Black Panther will make big money.
February is starting to become a big month now.
Black Panther's coming out February. It's gonna make big money.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Deadpool this year was Logan. So it was Deadpool last year, Logan this year. February is actually starting to become one of those months that they're actually.
And if they had said, "Hey, we got whatever," when everything happened with Snyder, they had a moment to say, "Hey, we got to stop for a second." And if they had taken their time and said, "We're going to come out in February now," and made a better movie out of it, it would have worked. I think they were just so nervous to make the date because of all the problems they've had that they didn't want to take another loss. And it was like I said, with all that said, I don't think it felt like a rushed movie when you watched it. But I just think people are so tired of hearing of all the problems with these movies that they got turned off of it all.
It wasn't rushed. It was just boring.
Can we run down the problem? No, it did feel longer than 2 hours. I will say that it did feel.
It's 2 hours, and I was like, eh.
Can we run down all the problems? The fact that they set this to film 3 months, right? 3 months after BVS came out, they changed the script 2 months from filming after the bad reception from BVS. They flew all the critics that gave it a bad review out to say the show's like, see, we're making a better movie. Don't give us a bad review for this one. I promise. Then they hired Joss Whedon the rewrites. Then Zack Snyder leaves. Then Joss Whedon films for 3 months. That's a whole nother goddamn movie. That's a whole nother movie. Like this, I'm surprised it came out as well as it did. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something.
I agree. No, honestly, like as much
as when you put it like that.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Critics have been harsh. If Thor: The Dark World got 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, this deserves
Thor: The Dark World.
That movie was shit.
Don't you dare do it.
Malekith is a worse villain than Steppenwolf. How about that?
Thor 2 is so much better than Avengers 2.
Huh? No, but like, if Thor: The Dark World has 77%, this deserves at least a 70%. It at least deserves as much as Thor: The Dark World, at the very least.
Disagree.
Yeah, that's where the rating system gets kind of silly when you start comparing the numbers like that. But Dan is going to die on that Thor 2 sword, so just
he is.
Hey, listen, I'm a defender of Iron Man 2, and Iron Man 3, and Thor 2. I appreciate those movies better than Civil War. I hate Civil War. The more I think of Civil War, the more angry I get. And the only thing that makes me angry is thinking of Avengers 2 and how much of a waste of time Avengers 2 was. Avengers 2 was a pile of shit.
You know what y'all problem is? Y'all don't have a baseline for terrible movies. Like, I grew up on watching direct-to-video rapper movies.
We saw Batman and Robin.
And I grew up like in households that watch Madea movies. So for me, all this shit is just like, this is way above that. I'm like, I understand where Dan's coming from.
Kane, right?
Yeah, like she has.
What about
have you seen the movie?
What about the Tremors movies? What about the Tremors movies?
No, I haven't seen those. Except for the first one. I've seen the first one.
Okay.
We saw Amateur Night, so we have a baseline.
Why hasn't Jason Biggs got his superhero movie yet? What's up with that?
You probably look back and he might have been in one. We don't even know.
No, Talia, I do not think that Iron Man 2 and 3 are better than 1. Iron Man 1 is probably my top 3 or top 5 like favorite superhero movies of all time. Like I really love Iron Man 1.
Which is crazy to think about it, because when you hear people talk about it, they wrote that movie on the fly almost.
Yeah. But it's so well done, and again, the right casting, like the perfect casting for Iron Man there. And that's when you think of origin stories, like that part in the cave where he's building the Iron Man suit, and it's just like, man, that is some great comic book filmmaking right there. That is just gets me excited every time I watch it.
What did you think of the soundtrack here? Because there was some notes back to the old Superman theme and the old Batman themes that kind of worked, I thought.
It goes to what I say. Why get rid of the themes? Like, they don't get rid of the fucking James Bond theme. They don't change the Star Wars theme. Why change Superman's? And I like the Hans Zimmer Superman score, but like, why change Superman? There's no reason to change Superman's score. Because like, I'm gonna tell you, everything else uses that score or something similar to that score, but these fucking movies. So I don't understand why change it. Like the problem is, what Marvel has been successful in rebooting Captain America, where like keeping Captain America the same but updating him. DC felt like they just needed to completely change Superman from what he is. Superman has been successful all these years without him being changed too much, and they just want to go for this thing that didn't work. Like there was a way to update Superman without making him like a dick.
You bring up Captain America though. I feel the issue here is they hijacked Captain America's movie with that Civil War, and it's such a great movie in Winter Soldier, and then you follow that up by hijacking it with Civil War. I almost feel that it's the same crime that they did with Man of Steel and BVS, is because they should have done a Man of Steel 2. They shouldn't have jumped right into BVS. I think it's the same crime that they did, is they just hijacking something that really worked and was making progress, and they changed it into something that it didn't need to be yet. I think, essentially the Civil War was another Avengers movie that they should have just done. Not just say Captain America, Civil War. I want to see more Captain America.
I mean, it's definitely, like, at this point, I would put Civil War on the lower. I like Civil War. But, yeah, it definitely goes on the bottom. Not as low as Ultron. I think Ultron, like, looking back on Ultron.
So fucking bad.
See, I don't think it's bad. It's just, like, yeah, like it's
bad.
It had a really short shelf life. Like I was fine while I was watching it, and like the second I left the theater, my mind started going, and I was like, "No way! I don't think I'm okay with what just happened."
Because it's been at least Captain America. I mean, at least Civil War moves the plot forward. Like Ultron, I feel like it's spinning its wheels. It feels like it's setting up like three other movies.
That's why I didn't mind while I was watching. It's because Vision was really cool. And I was like, oh, shiny. And then I left, and I was like, what else happened in that movie? And I was like...
other than them wasting James Spader? I mean...
Thing happened.
You know?
Yeah.
See, I have a supporter now in the chat because Detective D has just joined. And
but he missed everything.
He supports Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2 and Thor 2 as well.
Iron Man 3.
And Thor 2.
I love Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is not a good Iron Man movie, but it's a good movie. It's not...
But Iron Man 2 has one of the best villains. Of everything. And Sam Rockwell's character in Iron Man 2 is absolutely one of the best villains that we've seen.
You're just saying that because he was on the show.
Okay, hashtag synergy. Yes, I interviewed Sam Rockwell.
You say I like Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 to me is kind of a mess, but it's a mess like a comic book, so I'm with that. And cool. At the time,
it's really cool.
And at the time, this shit was still new, so to have like this middle of the movie be completely about S.H.I.E.L.D. and nothing else to do with the movie was kind of cool because it was still new. If they did that now, it would be completely upset.
I love the fact that Rockwell based his character off of Gene Hackman from the original Superman movies. Like he literally watched the original Superman movies and was like, I'm going to be Lex Luthor in this. And that's what he based it off of, and it comes through, and it's great. His role, I wish there was more of him. I wish they would have brought him back. Yeah, I think they brought him back for like one of the little like short kind of DVD clips or something like that with talking about Mandarin. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's in a prison relationship now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I will say, we talked last week how they should have done solo movies for all these guys first. I'll still admit BVS was a completely rushed job, but I don't think we needed a whole Flash backstory and Cyborg Flash story or Aquaman backstory to make this work. I think they did enough in these movies. Yeah, they did enough to make you want to watch their movies now, but they didn't spend. Cyborg was probably the one that would have took too much time to really get into what he is. So I think that was probably the one that was most rushed, his backstory. But you got enough about Flash with his, Crudup, his father. That looks like it could be interesting going forward. They did.
It's the TV show. It's the they stole the thing.
No one watches the TV show.
they stole the thing.
You and Nick love the Flash TV show. You're the only one of a million people that watch the show. We got to let that go.
No. Look, this is all I'm saying, right? if you're going to do that, just cast the people from the show. If you're just going to steal the theme, the special effects, the backstory,
they're talking about that too.
Like they're even making Iris West black. That's in the TV show. That's not in the comic. Like if you're going to do that, you have an established Flash that's popular on TV. You have that.
Maybe they're setting it up so they can do like a multiple Earths thing, and the different versions of the characters can meet each other in a future thing that will never happen.
Some flashback.
Hashtag comic books.
Right, exactly.
I mean, at this point, I have to admit, I really didn't like Flash. Like,
really? Yeah. Wow.
Number one, that's not Barry Allen. That's Bart Allen. I don't know. Like this is what happened. They see the Justice League cartoon, right? And they say, okay, Flash is supposed to be funny, but that's not Barry Allen. That's Wally West. So I don't know who this character is. I don't know if he got Asperger's or anything.
He doesn't even like brunch.
Yes.
He's got to be a secret villain.
I think it was more they wanted to make him like the young Spider-Man, kind of, young and, innocent kind of, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to use my powers thing. Like his line where I've never been in a fight was good. And I just push people. That was the other thing too. All his lines were from the trailers. So to see him again in the movie, just like, oh yeah, that was, I knew that was coming. I don't know. I like the movie.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
I don't think you can say that you hate it. It's just it was meh. It was whatever.
It's the world they've created where we can't really enjoy these things because we know all the problems that came before it and all the problems that are going to come after it. So we can't just, Marvel, you can watch it and know, even if I don't like this one, there's 4 more movies coming. They can probably get it right.
It just felt neutered. It felt neutered
just
compared to like what we saw with Man of Steel and BVS. And I know Jamil hates BVS and all, but again, there's a lot of just stuff going on, and that feels important. Whether it is important or it's not, it feels important. With this, it's just a lot of stuff going on that's just like, oh.
I'm gonna say this. I didn't see you guys on Thor review because I just assumed everybody hated it, so I just didn't watch it. I think Ragnarok is a better movie overall, but I think the highs are higher in this movie. Like Thor is fine, but when Superman comes back and see the Justice League together, it's way more awesome than anything in Ragnarok. But I think Ragnarok.
I think I was the only one that didn't like Thor in our review.
Yeah, you like Thor?
Thor was fine. Yeah, I thought Thor was fine. I thought it was okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, I like the character of Thor, and I think my point of my review was this really wasn't the character of Thor, but it still wasn't bad. Like to me, it was a different version of Thor. And by the way, Amanda, I have been reading the comic book you recommended with young kid Loki. Little kid Loki. So
I figured if you liked Dark World, you might like that one.
It's cool. It's cool. And I do like Dark World. It's a good movie.
Can we talk about the end credit scene with Luthor and Deathstroke?
Yep. Well, not Deathstroke, right? Is it Deathstroke?
Yeah,
Deathstroke. Deathstroke, the Terminator.
Yes.
It's his whole name.
Okay.
Which is stupid. But
so in Justice League, right?
Well, he was the thing. He was supposed to be the Batman villain in the Ben Affleck. He was supposed to be the villain in the Ben Affleck Batman movie that got scrapped. So they still had him, I guess, under contract.
Right. So there's.
But again,
I swear to God, they better not be called the Injustice League. They better be called the Legion of Doom. I'm fucking leaving. I'm not watching that movie. They're not called the Legion of Doom.
I think we're looking at a Sinister Six situation where we were sold that thing into Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it's just never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say setting up the Hall of Justice. Right. That was another scene that was in there.
Yeah, and those are all good scenes too.
In Wayne Manor at that, like, just we gonna go to Batman house. That's where everybody meets at. He makes all the money, so everybody come to Batman house.
I love that scene at the end where it was Clark and Bruce when they were when he buys the house back, and there's that kind of classic Clark Bruce dynamic where Clark doesn't really get
how'd you get the house
how rich
back?
he is.
I
just want the bank.
Could you imagine if BVS was that? Could you imagine if BVS was that instead of what the fuck we got? Could you imagine?
Well, but that's the problem. You needed to establish these characters first, and that's why those kind of scenes work now. But they just didn't work when they first met because they built it that they hated each other, kind of on some vague, newspaper clippings.
It was philosophical and deep.
Yeah.
He hated hold on. I know. I'm BVS tangent. He hated Batman for the exact same thing he was doing. It made no sense.
Superman was better.
He didn't brand people.
Superman smacked the nigga neck. What you talking about?
I think that was our first N-word on the show.
Hey, listen. I hope it was. We have a very white cast on this show. I'm certainly hoping it was.
He straight snapped the dude neck, and you gonna get mad at Batman for using some guns and branding people? I don't. And taking the law in his own hand. What are you doing?
I was just branding them. Whoa, Superman! I was just branding these people. You just snapped that dude's neck. Well, I think you just committed murder, Superman.
He ran the dude through 8 walls at the beginning of the movie.
Oh,
he didn't survive.
He was fine. That was just a flesh wound, Jamil.
He was going to shoot Lois Lane. That's the only thing Superman cared about for the first 2 movies. If you fuck with Lois or his mom.
Look, I can't find my mother. But if Lois Lane's taking the dump, I'm right there if she needs me. No. Look, I'm not going to use I can use my superhero to heal Lois Lane falling from a building. But I can't use my superhero to hear where my mother is. So I'm just gonna go. So I'm just deciding I'm just gonna go kill Batman instead.
Fair point.
Yeah, that was the plot.
Fair point.
They're all in the same city.
Jamil,
So
come on. If he would have known that Batman's mother's name was Martha, it would have been fine. It would have been fine. In fact,
I had a lot of time to think about it. Say what you want to about the Marvel movies. There's nothing in there where you'd be like, yeah, okay. They're in the same city. He could just listen for her, and he's fast enough. She fell off a building, and before she hit the ground, he made it to her. So you trying to tell me he couldn't find her in a warehouse and took out everybody, snapped everybody's neck in 5 seconds? Because obviously he's fond of that and saved his mom. He had to go kill. And he says it like, I need his help. Well, then again, everybody got to die someday. Let me go kill Batman. Like, what?
That's why they fixed all that in this movie that we're reviewing, Justice League. Where honestly, Superman saved the day. And that's all that happened.
They cut out a lot of important stuff in this movie because they showed Barry Allen's father in prison. They did not show his mother Martha at home. They failed to show
Cyborg's
mother's name is Martha. and of course we know Aquaman's mother. His name is
Aquaman. I did like him. By the way, the one joke I really did love was him sitting on the lasso of truth. I thought that was really good. I thought that was a good Joss Whedon touch because you know Snyder wouldn't do that. That was a. So yeah, guys. They could the second movie was supposed to be Dark Side, so I just said screw that. They're not gonna do Dark Side now.
I guess they're
not gonna do anything.
I don't know if I don't know if they should do Justice League Dark Side. I mean, at this point now they have the Justice League, so it can't be like Superman versus Dark Side. Like it can't, if they're all around, it can't just be like that's one of my biggest
Doomsday because you wasted that.
It's like my biggest head scratches with the Avengers at this point. It's like well, why is Spider-Man fighting this Vulture guy? Like I get it, Iron Man. It's like Vulture's he's nothing. Don't worry. It's like just.
You know what though? To be fair, that's a problem with comic books in general. That was always a problem. Like as soon as they said shared universe, the first thought in my mind, as a person that came to comic books late, is like they're gonna have to explain why none of these people are helping each other. Because that's a problem in the comic book. Like Spider-Man get his ass whooped all the time in a city filled with 500 superheroes, and nobody comes saves him.
Actually, the biggest problem of Thor 2. Because the world is about to end again, and we're relying on Kat Denny and Natalie Portman running around.
I mean, that's the one. That's the problem with Iron Man 3. you got all these friends you can call to find out what Pepper Potts is, and you don't. You don't.
But
You just don't.
that was at least Iron Man 3 wasn't end of the world type shit. Thor 2 was end of the world stuff, and he didn't call anybody. That was the problem there.
It's his ego. It's his ego. That's why, Marty.
When there are movies like Ant-Man that are kind of like smaller crime stuff, and what was another one? Spider-Man was still like a smaller crime level shit. That's when you can do it one-on-one. But when in Thor 2, again, the world is ending, and hey, where's the guys that saved us last time? That's where the holes start coming in. To these shared universes.
Actually, one of my favorite parts of the Death of Superman comic books is that during that Doomsday run, where Doomsday's just destroying stuff and wreaking havoc, they send everyone. Well, pretty much everyone tries to get a piece of them, and they have. It spans a whole bunch of different comic books, where everyone is like trying to get Doomsday and he's beating the hell out of everyone. So I actually appreciated that about the comic book, and then they rushed Doomsday as well in BVS, where Doomsday could have been a great character down the road that they could have not had from the corpse of Zod, or maybe it was the corpse of Zod from like 5 years from now, because apparently he doesn't decay. So, I
mean, I don't mind that so much. It's just they tried to put like 3 classic stories into one movie, and like you have a decade's worth of material right there. You could have had a Batman Superman team up movie. They wasted that. They wasted Dark Knight Returns. You could have did that like 20 years from now. You know what I'm saying? And brought back the old cast. You could have had the Death of Superman. You could have did all these things, and they just wasted it in one movie.
They could have literally adapted any episode of the Justice League cartoon.
Yes.
They could have just gone straight from the storyboards to live action, and it would have been, yeah.
So I mean, not to say we're running long because we started late, but we're almost at our hour. I guess my question is, what's the future of Zack Snyder? I mean, we know he's done with DCEU. Like he's not coming back with DCEU. Does he have a career after this? Like, does he go back to?
He hasn't made any comments really of anything since the tragedy of his life. So I guess it's more of a personal thing on his part if he wants to get involved in his. I'd say he's done with Warner Brothers just because I'm sure he's not thrilled with how they treated him with weed and stuff. But
it's again a shame because I mean Watchmen.
Yeah, I don't know if is he involved at all in the Watchmen TV show?
No, that's Lindelof from Lost.
Okay.
Look, I don't mind. I don't mind them making a TV show. The problem is there's 2 pieces of perfect casting in the Watchmen movie that I know they're not going to redo, and that's the comedian and Rorschach. Like, if you can just get Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Jack
Incredible was great as a Dr. Manhattan. I mean, there's some great casting in Watchmen movie.
I mean, Rorschach's not doing anything. He can be back on the show.
Yeah,
other guys have careers to an extent.
Yeah, he wear a mask most of the time, so the fact that he's aged 10 years shouldn't even matter.
I like Ozymandias too. Like I think he was great.
Jude Law wanted to play Ozymandias. I think
it would have been a good one. It would have been a good one as well. Yeah. So
that's still there's nothing really with him, just because people don't want to talk about it. I guess just because of his daughter. I'll look it up.
Again, like I'm not in love with Zack Snyder, but I like Zack Snyder a lot. Like I like his movies. The original 300 is still a fun movie. I put it on. It's a fun movie.
Look, you know what? I'm hard on Zack Snyder, but he is better than Michael Bay. And like even if I don't like his movies story wise, they're always like visually appealing. Even Sucker Punch, Sucker Punch is like I don't know what the fuck going on in that movie, but like it's a pretty movie to look at.
Yeah, his IMDb is just filled with producer credits for DC movies that aren't going to happen anymore.
I'm sure Chris Nolan's no longer producing these DC movies.
Wait, the problem with Zack Snyder is, I know we're going on, but the problem with Zack Snyder is he just don't understand comic book characters. I think he said if he would have made Batman Begins, he would have had Batman get raped in prison.
It's rough.
And he said he loves Watchmen, but it's not for none deep philosophical stuff. It was for all the sex and violence. So like he likes comic books, but it's like for the most juvenile of reasons. It seems.
I've never seen a director put so many attractive shirtless men on screen in an asexual way before. Like how? Like I have a crush on cartoon Superman. How could I feel? I have a crush on Henry Cavill in every other movie he's been in. How could I feel nothing for any of the characters in his movies? I feel like there's just he looks at the world in a fundamentally different way, and I value him for that, but I don't understand it.
Well, you also don't understand love, Amanda. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes more than Henry Cavill shirtless for me to have feelings.
Chris
I'm sorry.
Hemsworth and Thor, on the other hand.
They fucking smile at each other. Mind blown. Mind blown. They look happy.
Hey, Cavill smiled in this. It was just distorted because of the mustache thing.
He kind of looked like Jack Nicholson from Batman, the original
Yeah,
Tim Burton's
that's
Batman,
what-
with when he had the face and his, the smile. Like, that's what it looked like. All right, we got anything else?
No, I think we're good. I don't think we have to do any stuff this week.
It's people are touching more people again.
Yeah,
There you
we
go.
did.
Jeffrey Tambor is done.
Jeffrey Tambor's
Touching more
done.
people.
The head of
Charlie Rose, right? He's
John
done.
Lasseter.
John
Had
Lasseter.
a pic-
yeah.
He had a Pixar. I
You
think.
know, eventually, this is gonna happen so much. People are just not gonna care anymore. I really believe that. Like, it's happening. Like, it's gonna be everybody. I got like running bets at this point on who's gonna be next. It's just
No,
like,
start betting on who's going to be left.
That's right.
Movie, most of this show.
I got
We'll be fine.
Tarantino.
Most of us will be fine on the movies and stuff show.
Except for Amanda, she's real grabby. I heard.
On that note, I'm actually going to be off next week, so the show I'm placing back in the hands of Abe. So Abe's going to run the show next week.
What?
Yeah. So
Speaking of Gropey, what's up, Abe? I'm happy.
I'm hoping that he doesn't have any allegations put up against him next week while I'm gone. But Abe will be back, so we'll have a show. Whatever Abe decides. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll run a show." Ha 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 ha. So I don't know what that means, but we'll have a show next week that Abe is going to run Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure to like and subscribe, right? So you like this video, you subscribe to us. You follow us on Movie Stuff Show, at Movies and Stuff Show on Facebook and on Twitter. Jamil, are you off Twitter? Jamil, you quit Twitter?
Yes, I
quit Twitter.
am. Because
Okay.
that's a fucking cesspool
Okay.
on both sides.
Quit Twitter.
On both sides of that spectrum, man. That y'all.
That's why we couldn't tag you in the review today.
Yeah, guys, look.
I thought...
Okay, so I'll just
I-
have to directly message you when I have questions about comic books. Got it.
Look, guys. Someone called me like, I don't know, some straight man hater. Then like another person called me like a nigger. So I was done. Like someone called me on
Jamil,
the left. Like,
was it the president?
no.
You've been quite mean to him. I think you owe him an apology.
Somebody
No,
on the right called me. Someone on the right called me the N-word. Somebody on the left called me like some pejorative, some buzzword bullshit. I'm like, you know what? I'm done.
That's good.
it.
That's good on you for you don't have to. Yeah.
Oh, good. Also, watch us on popaccess.com. Our show is there.
Yes.
There's more of a comment section going there usually with the videos. So
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting discussions.
Hopefully someone posted it. If not, after this, I'll go post it on Pop Access because I didn't get a chance. Literally running late this week. So, but yeah, Amanda is on Twitter and on Instagram. Same handle, right?
Yeah. Her mission cat. You know, like the operator or the matrix or the her mission spaces.
No,
Or
I
mechanic.
don't.
We all
I
know
don't.
that.
I don't.
Yeah,
We all know that.
I honestly don't even remember that much quantum mechanics anymore. So
She posts pictures about walls.
I do.
And check me on Instagram. I post toy pictures.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
they're
you
actually
you do.
really
Yeah, actually,
cool.
you do.
It
You
sounds
post a
silly,
lot.
but they're awesome.
Honestly,
hopefully no one calls you the N-word on Instagram and you can stay on there.
You can turn comments off on Instagram. It's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
any last words? You got any last words? Is everyone done?
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good for the week.
Lamar.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace.